Did you all have agendas with you? Do you need the agenda? There you go. You can have one. I understand you've got the agenda, right? Do you need a copy or no? Do you need a copy? Do you show you're going to take things out of order and make stuff like it? You know, which is all. I can do anything I want, right? Okay. Call to order at 7:07. And we're a roll call. Keith Schofield, aye. I know.
That would be Janice.
I can't tell. For anyone who doesn't know with a mask on, so I don't know who it is. She could be in disguise.
This is true.
Daniel, are you with us? Okay. So, did everybody have an opportunity to read all the minutes? Good. I did too. Did anybody have any discussion on the minutes? Was there anything there that disturbed anybody, disagreed with? Or were Kathy misspelled something?
It does happen. It does happen.
I would love to have one thing that I could say that needs to be right. So if we did not, can I have a motion to approve the meeting, the minutes?
Yeah, we should probably list out all the minutes that are being approved. Let's see.
21, 22, 12, 19, 22, 8, 13, 22, 1, 16, 23, 2, 7, 23, and 2, 13, 23.
116, what came after 116?
2, 7,
2, 7, 2,
23,
13.
and then 2, 13, 23. I think there should be some others, shouldn't there?
And we'll go to the website and see.
Because I know we were completely up to date. There was only one that we didn't have. Because I think
The October 25th is posted. Then our next meeting was November 3rd.
yeah. What about after 213?
21, 19, yeah. And 23.
We didn't March.
16, 7, 13, April 27th, that's tonight.
Okay.
That's everything.
So
I don't know if we still, I'd have to go way far back to see if anything else is missing, but.
yeah, for the record, these were distributed and I have all the dates that they were distributed to everybody. We just didn't get to approve them.
Yeah.
We had 37 or 30 some odd homes on the
Yeah, I remember that we skipped it.
hearing, so yeah, we were a little preoccupied.
Okay.
I just, yeah.
Gotta blame somebody, Janice. Gotta blame somebody.
Somebody said,
So these then, if no one has any issues with any of them,
so
you can have a
Janice,
motion to approve.
Janice, you will.
Okay, seconded. I can second.
Call out building words, that's all I'll say.
And so we can, so Sue's pressing. We need to go back. Yeah, so they're all, we need to change the.
I can do that.
They're all in format, so
I can do that. I just, it's hard when we, like, if something changes and my 3 weeks go by and I have no recollection of what we voted on.
oh, gotcha.
So I can do that.
All right.
Just do tonight.
All right.
Okay, so Dan post. So next. Okay, so number 3 on the agenda is to discuss cemetery trees and stone walls. We are going to discuss cemetery, the project afterwards, but You asked me to.
Yeah, I guess two things. I talked to Ted Steves about some other stuff, that tree coming out of my yard. There's a couple trees at Bicknell, no, there's a couple trees at Locust Hill that he wants to talk to us about. I believe they're the ones on the right between us and the neighbor's house, and there's concern they could fall on the neighbor's house. My suggestion was we find a time that we go out, do a field trip. So that was one. I mentioned we had the funding available. I believe, I forget how much we have.
We have, or the parks.
We have special money just for cemetery work, to the wall at Bicknell and for
Oh,
trees.
yeah, okay, all right.
And then the other issue is in the back of Old Town, in the back left. And I have to connect with him. We need to get somebody in there to cut back some of that stuff. I cleaned up a bunch, and I think Highway actually came by and cleared out all the stuff that was on the ground the other day.
It's in the front.
I dragged it one day it was warm, so I dragged it all to the front.
Yeah.
And I figured we just load it up, but they must have done it. But there's still some more in the back. It's not terrible stuff, and I actually think a lot of it is work that maybe even Highway can do with a chainsaw. It's a bunch of little stuff that all just needs to go. It's not anything special. Some of them are leaning.
So should we ask Highway if they can?
I can ask John where the line is. Here, let me look at our budget and just see what's in there. I mean, I think the Locust Hill is going to cost money from somebody.
Yeah, so I wanted to have a word with you about this. I told you at the last meeting that I went to the trustees meeting of Swandale
Yep.
and had a really, really very nice meeting with them, nice chat with them. I was a little bit confused. And when you're confused, I don't, in an organization like that, I don't like to ask questions because I wasn't sure. But it seems that Swandale also is in charge of Locust Hill.
So my understand, and it's very vague. Swandale owns Swandale. Swandale owns the Friends Cemetery. Swandale owns George Cemetery. I have seen the deeds. I have been told that Locust Hill was transferred to Swandale. I have never been able to find an actual deed.
So they should actually have that if they know
As
that.
best I know, so Swandale, or Locust Hill was its own, it was the Locust Hill Cemetery Association.
Yeah.
And then the trail goes cold, they just kind of went defunct. I do know at some point David Lowell came to the town and asked the town to take over the mowing of George and Locust Hill. And I think because there was really no money left, they're old plots. There might be George still has one or two random plots that families own.
Right.
But they're pretty much, there's no money to maintain them. So Parks has just kind of mowed them.
Right.
Yeah, I know Ruth always says that, but I don't know, maybe there just never was a deed, or maybe it never got recorded, or who knows?
See, I understand, obviously it's what they're wanting, and they own it, wanting to, keep ownership and everything of it. They have no money. Pine Hill, she also said, was another one that I think.
So Pine Hill needs to do some, so Pine Hill and Old Town, I'm not sure if there is a deed. If there is, it could be in a different registry because it's so old.
Right.
Pine Hill, I have never had the time to research.
Maybe
that's part of this major
we should do,
project.
yeah.
But I also, I think regardless of, Swandale is an active cemetery. They're current burial, so I don't think it's appropriate for taxpayer money to go there. And they're across the street, the Friends.
Right.
But in terms of these other ones, Pine Hill, I think the town has a duty, not to spend $1 million, but at least to care for these cemeteries and do what we can to.
Right, so that's what I said to them, about us,
Yeah.
when we get to the cemetery project. That was one of the things I said, is obviously we would like to organise and create a cemeteries commission or board or whatever. And obviously then we would ask for a budget from the town, not huge, but enough that we could do maintenance or buy chemicals or whatever it's got to be, and that would all come out of that thing. And then there was two guys there.
Young guy is coming to build a house thing. Younger guy, Dave Lowell.
No, David Law wasn't there. There was
Fred.
Fred was there, Ruth was there.
Yeah.
Tetro, is it?
Oh, Sue? Oh, Peg, yeah.
Peg
Peg's
was
part of
there, and then there were two guys, but I didn't get their names.
Was it Dean D'Alessandro? Bigger guy? Old, like, towny guy?
Both of them are like towny guys, I'm not,
Dean might be involved with that group.
I mean, I can find out, I can always ask them who the guys were, but they seemed very, very knowledgeable and very involved on everything. When I said, who knows, maybe we can, sort out some funding, do different things. And they said, yeah, you're not going to be allowed to do that because they're private, you can't use town money for private.
But there's some vagueness. There's a law that allows the town to kind of take over abandoned cemeteries. There is no case law, there is no definitions, it's very nebulous.
Right,
So I would argue Locust Hill is abandoned.
right,
George, I'd have to go back and look into that meeting and what was discussed. I think it depends on the project. I think, clearing some trees for a couple days was one thing versus doing some, like what we're doing at Bignell. Bignell was transferred to the town of Mendon. They
Right,
ceased
yes,
operations,
yes.
one town got the money. So
Right.
that's a little bit more cut and dry.
right.
I don't think it would be appropriate for us to fix the wall of Swannydale, for example,
No,
because that's clearly owned privately.
but we did pay for the wall to be repaired at Swandale.
No,
Yes, we did.
no, we got insurance money for it. We did not, we paid for the wall of our own, the Suffolk old town. We did not pay for anything at Swannydale.
I thought we had to take it to town meeting. Yeah, was it?
No, it was money for Bignell.
I know we did it now, I know that because we got that, but I thought there was something to do with Swandale as well because it was hit by a vehicle, because it was
They
hit.
may have gone to town money. I don't know what was done. I have to go back and look.
I have to go back.
My understanding is that was an insurance settlement and that was handled all that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it was all handled by.
No, there were two, I think.
Oh, maybe we did spend some money on the historic wall because it's a public, so that's, yeah.
On that corner, yeah, I think we did.
I think that's,
And I think it was because it was an historic wall, not so much
Yeah.
belonging to the cemetery.
So we have,
So that's something I think we're gonna have to get a viewpoint on, talk with.
well, I think unless somebody's challenging it, I think we should do what we feel is best in the historic interests of the town. If somebody feels that there's something going on, they want to engage lawyers and go that route, I don't know.
No,
Sometimes there's this tendency from certain people to just, oh, we can't do that, can't do that. If somebody wants to challenge it, let them challenge it, but
yeah,
I think if we start.
but I mean, we do know this, I mean, the others, most majority, if not all of the other cemeteries, I think are like town owned. There have been donations to the town. One or abandoned, we know this Swannydale is not, and it's still active and.
Swannydale and Friends are the two that I think
Right.
are very clearly
Right.
current.
And she did say something about George. There's two plots in
Yes.
George, there's somebody that lives there that's related to the George, and they want to be very careful.
So like Shirley Barnes,
Okay, yes.
and like, what's her name? Ledoux, Marcia Ledoux, I know her father was buried there, and I asked her once if she knew how they came to own those vacant plots, and she didn't know. So there are still, if you go look at that, there are still some open plots.
Right.
And I don't know if somebody knows whose plots they are. In some cases, that might be. Same with Locust Hill, that was a burial like 5 years ago.
Right, so someone must have paperwork.
But it's just, and I think Swannydale assists with that.
Okay. Because I just think it would be nice, I mean, they were such nice people.
Yeah.
That meeting, they really were. And, I'm sitting there, I don't know what the heck I'm talking about or getting information on or anything, and they were just really, really nice. I think it would be good. I said to them, this is something that we think is important. We want to maintain, we want to do the cleaning of the stones, tidying them up, make sure that, we're taking care of our cemeteries. I think it's important. And then kind of, oh, that's wonderful, that's really wonderful. I said, well, if there is a commission, then there's nothing to stop Swannydale having somebody that's on board
Yeah,
on the commission, as the Swannydale rep there.
I had floated this once, and don't anybody watching this panic because it didn't go over well. Potentially, if they wanted, the town could take over, Swannydale and it may turn into a town-run cemetery if they wanted, which it sounds like they're perfectly willing to keep going.
They are, and they're very,
I do like thought about doing a cemetery commission, it would just separate out some of those responsibilities to another group.
Right.
Usually they're elected boards.
Yep.
You know, or,
If you look at the amount of stuff that really should be done in
Right.
cemeteries, I mean,
Right.
having done my research here, I would say that if to divide that and have somebody take care of that would be appropriate, because the documentation that you need, and even the like I was just gonna say to you, before you do any of that stuff with even clearing out corners, if you could document it with a video, because that's one of the things they really talk about, is documenting it and then showing what you've done.
Mhm.
And you have to describe the land and what, you know, maybe the problems, and, I mean, it's just incredible.
I mean, it could
The
actually-
time of day you're looking at it and what
Yeah.
the weather is, I mean, it's like the documentation is out of print.
Right. Right, yeah, and I mean, I think once we get to the point where we've got all of the information pulled together, I mean, it could end up being a board that's under parks.
well, I think there's a legal entity of cemetery commission, and technically, I think our cemetery commission is probably the select board. I don't believe there's ever any formal action to be taken. We just kind of handle that stuff.
Did you, has anybody been through the budget that was sent out?
So in terms of the budget, our budget,
Prepared, that is $100 a year to the cemetery department.
that's no, so what that is, that's the $100 that was for soldiers and sailors graves, it's always been in the budget. I think sometimes they used it to buy flags. We need things in the budget that nobody ever spent. Like $400 for Memorial Day, it used to be paid to Florida to do the sound, and they just left it there, year.
Right,
So that is, as part of renaming it, she probably just called it Cemetery Commission or something like that. But it's the same $100, it's always been there. But we have our 3,000 or 3,500.
4,000 this year was in there.
That's historic and district's 500.
Oh,
Stage commission's 500, postage 3,000 for census.
it's still listed as historic report, right, right.
And then we have 24,800 in this special account.
Mhm.
But a good chunk of that is earmarked for that wall at Bicknell.
Yeah.
Which we need to bug Braza about some more.
Right, or somebody else. I think we're gonna,
Maybe we ask him to come to a meeting if we're
Well, I
not.
think we formally said to him, like, we want you to schedule this, or if we just kind of, because we tried doing
I
that.
mean, that's over a year ago.
Yes,
Because
we're
pricing
looking
will
at
have gone through the roof, and
cost
if we
plus.
want to do it be even more.
Somebody did suggest to ask Sean Clifton.
We corrected the town said yes, so we got that money in there, but I think we need to maybe put it out a bit, we need to find more people that can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I got the name from John Nenner, who they used, but that was more a masonry company.
And, yeah, I'm not sure that they have the
There is that
equipment.
place in Rhode Island
And
on, that's it, Memorial
the
Highway.
monument company might be.
It's like a monument company, but they're the people that have those breaking blocks, so they like to move them.
We should call him up.
Kind of like sliding them in.
I mean, I'll ask Sean if he thinks it's something he would be interested, or if it's too big for him. I know Eric Peterson said it made him nervous.
Yeah, because you have to pick up those
Huge.
Yeah.
15-foot granite blocks
Yeah.
and pick them up and set them somewhere so you can do all the excavating and do the drainage and set them back in place and pin them all back in place. And sort of on the bottom of the wall, which has been concrete repaired or pointed.
Yeah.
So it's a significant job.
Right.
That everybody, I mean, when we first went out to find somebody, we called
I
every
know, I did.
Boston, Leominster, you name it, we went all over the state trying to find somebody, and they're like, yeah, it's not in our wheelhouse.
What about going to the historic commission for the state, ask them what they would use?
We did,
We did, we
worked on that.
That was they refer you to the list. And then you sit and call everybody on the list.
And a lot of times, it's not cost effective
Yeah.
because you're talking about people bringing very heavy equipment on site, which is why Brazos was perfect, because they're right around the corner. So I would think that if we can tap back into them and say, are you gonna honor the price you gave us? You never called and said,
Even if the price goes up by $2,000, who cares? We have double wages.
Right.
I was so I asked him about, I need to bug him again. I had asked him about the rocks in Old Town, and he was gonna go look at it, but then we never connected. he's just a one-man person now, so one-man group, so I don't know if, I think that would be too much for him. We could ask him, but.
Who's that?
Yes.
You know,
We could
Just the
also,
guy who's on Board of Health.
Yeah.
He's an excavator,
yeah.
but I think it's just him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a single, like, one-man band operation would be contemplated in that. I mean, we already know that they're gonna have to close part of the road down, at least one side of it. And we are gonna need better details.
Let the contractor.
Yeah.
I can do it, I'm very good at that.
You should have seen dance that the mending pot does.
you know what, I think she's pretty close.
Oh, you
Yeah,
could?
I
yeah,
thought,
yeah.
I'm like, never mind.
But
You got that mask on so they don't know it's you.
no, they don't. Shut up.
So anyway, you know, I think that it would be good if, I think this is a really key project that I think is probably gonna maybe separate out from historic. And we'll figure out a way to do that, the best way to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be good if we could get a board together of people, like people that do the, you know, the head person who's gonna be responsible for these trustees of each cemetery,
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And get Swandale, invite Swandale and see how far they want to go. And, you know, we all get older. At
Yeah.
some point, you're kind of, this is too much, I don't want to deal with it anymore. And you're happy to pass it to somebody as long as it's going to be taken care of.
right,
You
right.
know, and then if it was part of like the town board, I don't know, maybe then there would be, well, they've got these different, they can't accept town money because they've got private monies coming in. Because there's some people that leave.
They're a private organization, unless you want to transmission, you know, completely switch over, but I'm not sure we need to be in that business. I think that's a mistake. I think, you know, it's not, Upton really have a very active cemetery with lots of activity at some point. There's gonna be, the police officer does all that. Yeah, because
Yeah, they're beautiful pictures.
we make it just say, hey, yes, someday, like, hey, go do this. But it's never just for the community. Yeah. Yes, that's something to be careful. You can't go for hire and license by the FAA. As soon as it flips into that, it becomes huge.
Someone's just doing it on their own. And there, I think you can, I know people's property. I know, but it's still. There's someone that, like, if I come back to South Street, oh, yeah, go over there, but on my side.
It's made for us, and I do think I think you make it happen direct. There's some really cool stuff. Yeah.
I mean, even has Cemetery's Facebook page. You know, we said, I think
The honest that you can do once the cemetery is.
you need to get that forward.
Yeah, it's incredible, the educational things, the recreational things, I mean, everything.
There's so many things. Yeah.
There's a lot.
There really is.
So that Halloween thing,
Dad, do you know the book is upstairs? There is a book, apparently, that I think I put together something, put together a book.
That inventory of cemeteries. That was the
And then because it's not split out into cemetery, it's doesn't, and then where they're buried, because you need to put it on the
you just need to be careful. It's not perfect.
No, it's correct. No, it's not, I said it's not.
The commission could do it, went and did it, and then went and sold it for a profit. It was a whole shebang. And now nobody has a copy of it. I think they did finally find one copy of it. Little low.
We're modern.
Now we passed. My mother tracked down an electronic version from somebody.
Yes.
So I believe the copy now is Margaret from their office.
Everyone told me that there is one here, I know it. Well, it just is really, if it's any good, we could plug it into another spreadsheet and then we could pull out each. Yeah, I actually, Lisa sent that, Lisa, Laporte sent that, and she's got the electronic version. And I sent it over to Janice, I didn't send it to you.
I think it must be in.
Oh, God. I don't know, last week. You're right,
yeah, do you think, or?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you right now, my priority is the beach parks.
Absolutely gorgeous. He did that with Brown. I said, of course. Yeah. Well, people coming in to see, say, we have these cemeteries and
Yeah.
like that.
We need the ones that are.
I think he likes doing it, so.
We may have to go in on foot.
Yeah.
Some of those, that thing can go pretty fast. I think it's just a matter of having the time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if we can just chip away at it, at least the
Yeah.
time.
We can make him some cookies.
Absolutely cookies. All right. So, so I was going to add one little sidebar on this. So Pine Hill, there is documentation of Pine Hill Cemetery. And again, I think you and I probably dug this up years and years
It is like,
articles about how they couldn't figure out who owned the cemetery. And then eventually the town adopted it. And I do believe that it is in a town report.
like, I don't know exactly, I haven't researched it. We just got a vote to declare it an area. I don't really know what that means or what statute. We did not take a building or do anything to actually title. I can't and I didn't know what to do with the grant change involved or passing funds. I got somebody, I knew that I was trying to perform that stuff, you know, to me. So they helped me because I create stuff too. Website.
This was 1967, and they did it as part of the 300th anniversary. I believe it was lady right here, silver, for at the seminars, photographs, um, so, yeah, so they worked very hard to clean up Pine Hill and get it, you know, in shape and ownership.
When the town take over a historical sites, maintain and close their for use. See, this is interesting because I don't feel like there's no team. You know, we took a vote to take over Pine Hill Cemetery to be, like, take it by eminent domain.
I don't think you can take it by eminent
Sure you
domain.
Take any eminent
But
domain.
it's like a burial ground,
Yeah.
I don't think you can actually do anything with the land. So,
I never had time to go to these guys and actually find if there's either REGs.
She may already know.
Yeah, I don't know. That was the one that actually predated Worcester County, Seattle, whatever it was before that.
Yeah.
that would be one of the ones, so that would be one that. Right, so we should actually, that should be section one. And that should be designated as a burial site.
That's something Azar's been doing. So that's like somewhere we could use our money to hire an engineer, draw out a site plan, and bring it to town meeting. The town, you know, transfer this parcel, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But we're actually voting on something. We're granting ourselves an easement on Morrison Drive. But what it's doing is, if we ever sell in the future, it's basically saying this is an easement in perpetuity.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a good thought. That's something to add to the list.
Okay. Well, if we might as well carry on with the set. So, as far as the cemetery project is concerned, I think the first step may be to put together like a proposal to the select board and say that we feel that there should be, you know, a cemeteries board or commission or however you want to do it. And there's going to be like a full proposal of why and what it would encompass, you know, the fact that we would want money in there too.
It's certainly easy to justify. We had talked about having the stewards and whatnot. So then, when I kind of went to one of the cemeteries to try out my form, shall we say, thinking as a steward, I thought this is just way too talked to Kathy about way too overwhelming.
Right.
One person to go in and. So I think we have to really look at the data collection. We have to look at the cemetery. What we kind of need to do ahead of time to first, to get like, you know, going to the cemetery over here, to get it organized to the point that then somebody can go in and.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You know, stewardship,
Yeah.
you know, watching and planning with the commission, you know, okay, the stewards, it seems, would be part of it, and then what can we do? Because there's so many things you can do once, but you go in there and it's just a disaster.
Yeah.
And it needs to be documented the way it is, and then there's certain things you have to do in terms of documenting the layout, even before you get to the point where you clean it up. So there's all of that. And I just thought, you know, we had talked about the stewards and their role and their job. It's just, I think it would be just too overwhelming for somebody. They would walk in and they would walk out.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
I agree with you.
looking-
And even the small ones, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, looking at kind of like last year, like going as a group, cleaning the stones and, you know, getting somebody to write it. But even if we could go in there and, you know, like get rid of some of the brush and find the stones that are buried under the leaves.
Right.
You know, there just needs to be a lot of documentation cleanup
Before
before you can even get to the point where you say, okay.
You're gonna need
But do you not think that you're gonna need like a board first?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be fine.
Then you can have,
Yeah, but I just think,
people on
I
that
think,
board.
we have kind of jumped into an idea which I think would be too much for a volunteer.
I agree with you.
Looking at the cemetery and the amount of documentation, and then the amount of cleanup, and then the redocumentation,
And there's some of
some of the
here.
historical data is done for us, which is great. But I think, you're gonna need kind of a group to go, and otherwise you're gonna go, no, I think I'll go home now.
Right, well, actually, we've got to make sure, I think we've got to make sure as well that, the people that are doing it, it's not too onerous on them.
Right.
So I think it could be, I mean, a lot of people, I think, would like to do this kind of stuff just because they want to take sites. They want to learn how to do it, they want to take care of it, but the actual maintenance and caretaking, if you like, of the whole thing is way too much for them. So the steward's kind of idea, yeah, I mean, I think it's still a really, really good idea. But like I said,
What
yeah,
needs to be done?
yeah,
I think that's ask you a question. It sounds like this board does not want to be, we want another group of people to handle this. We don't want to deal with this. Because I'm thinking, my thought is, we can appoint a subcommittee on the historic commission. Because I just imagine, we're gonna go to the select and say, we want a cemetery commission, it's gonna crash and burn, and what they're gonna do, who's gonna do it? I think it'd be better to have a subcommittee that's been doing things for a year or two before you go to them and say, okay, now we're ready to transfer this into its own thing. And build something up.
That's probably, if we're able.
That's the direction to go.
I think that's probably a better idea to do it.
It's gonna be, minimum, it has to go to town meeting to create a board that either gets voted on, either it's elected board or appointed board, if, we want a full-on cemetery commission. Or we could just have a subcommittee of the historic commission who's specifically focusing on cemetery stuff.
Does that,
I still think, with all the students, literally just having somebody that goes to that cemetery and walks around for 5 minutes once a month.
Yeah,
They don't have to do anything, they have to stay, they don't even necessarily have to get out of their car, just somebody to pay attention.
right.
And keep an eye on it, and say, hey, a tree fell down.
it's a subcommittee, and that being, it's part of, it's a subcommittee of the historic, but it can be totally independent.
I think if they want money, they need to come back, either spend our money, like we would say, all right, we're gonna, we'll approve $100, go buy whatever. Or we're gonna jointly, we'll work with you to submit something to town meeting to request a special article.
Okay. If it got to the point as well where the subcommittee was doing really well and taking care of itself, then at that point you could always.
Right. I mean, it's, we have $24 we have to spend, so I don't think there's no point asking the town for any more money.
Do we have to go to the select board and ask if we can do this?
I believe any commission can appoint their own subcommittees. It's like any informal thing. We're not appointing a formal subcommittee that has care and control of cemeteries. We're just saying, we're gonna have a group of people to do some cemetery work and report back to us.
Okay.
It sounds like it's in it being some sense of this committee. They have to take minutes, they have to post things. Maybe it should go to the select board, I just.
I was going to say, I'm only asking that because when historic started the subcommittee for local historic,
That's different. They formed a formal historic district subcommittee under the law. That's the thing they did.
but it reported to historic. It was appointed by a board of selectmen, but
Right, but that was a formal committee, a town committee that they made.
it's the same.
Right, but again, there's a whole law on historic districts that authorize this committee.
Okay.
It's not, this is just us saying, because I guess I'm not even necessarily being a formal group right now. I think, it just seems like.
But I think it would be, I don't know, this is my personal view, you can disagree if you wish. I think it would to form something like that, maybe take a vote, maybe form something like that. Because if everybody else would like to be part of it as well. But I think that would be tremendous to have it take off on its own, do its own meetings and everything, and it happens to be like the 5 of us if we wanted to do it, or whoever wanted to do it, then we could hold
meetings separately. We don't talk about anything historic, all we do is talk about cemeteries. That is the cemetery subcommittee. What a dead meeting that must be.
The only thing, if that committee is going to contain a quorum of the only committees are approved. If that committee is going to be a quorum of this group, like if that committee is going to have a quorum of 5 time, then it should just be part of it.
Well, if it has the five last time, there's no historic commission. So, let me run a thought by you, prior to diving on the committee.
Yep.
If you form a friends group, friends of cemeteries,
Yeah.
you become eligible for grant money. But you have to write the grants.
Also, it has to be a formal, incorporated as a nonprofit, send $400 to the IRS. You become licensed in the state, like you can't just, there's more to it. But yeah, that's an option, so maybe it's independent of the town.
Right.
Cemeteries. That, you know, incorporate state level kind of 501c3 designation.
That sounds really cool. I like that. I like that.
The town has all that already,
How can you form
and it is a 501c3 effectively, so I think we can apply for the same grants.
but how can you do that when you can form whatever you want? But we, as if you were to make a Friends of Cemeteries committee, you've absolutely got no right. You'd have to report to the select board.
Well, Friends of the Cemetery would be a private nonprofit that would have to fundraise their own money and not have access to any town money and, you know,
But the town could actually say, we don't get any access to the cemeteries.
certainly. Because, well, they're private, they'd be like any private group off the street.
But we would have no,
I'm not sure if necessarily appropriate for us, because like this has come up with parks where like you might have like Flood Library, you have Friends of the Library. The library trustees are not part of the Friends of the Library, except for organizations.
so tell me how that works then. If the Friends of the Library and they do fundraising or whatever, but they have no, or say in the library.
Correct.
So
They're a fundraiser.
they're just a fundraising arm.
And organization.
And so it's the cemetery, it's going to be a fundraising arm. The town cemeteries need that. You need more than fundraising, you want working. Which I don't think you can have anyone access to. Because it's Swandale, it's Swandale.
Swandale is just a cemetery corporation, whatever they are. I mean, you know, you could do this under parks too. Parks could form a cemetery subcommittee if we think this is more related to the maintenance of stuff
That might be a better.
and handle it that way. You know, I do think there's potentially changes coming with how that's all going to be structured. But I do think ultimately that's something that would fall under the Parks Commission, those decisions, if assuming we continue to have a Parks Commission. But that'll be future town meeting votes.
Really?
When they're doing a deep study about a DPW, I think if things go in that direction, it would be kind of strange to have a DPW that then has to report to an elected parks board, an elected water board, and, you know, you can have 7 different bosses. I don't necessarily think that's the way to go, but I think those discussions are coming, put it that way.
So why don't we set that we will do some investigating on friends groups
Yeah,
and commissions. And we can all pick a town and reach out.
Yeah.
I know Oxbridge does not have anything going right now, and
Upton does, I think, doesn't it?
Upton has a formal cemetery commission, that's an
Yeah.
official group. I mean, I don't know, I'm not so sure we're ready for, I mean, we went through this with the thing, with the youth sports thing, like, I think that's a whole huge production, you know, maybe the sports side could just handle. And to form another nonprofit with another board, with more people, we already can't get people.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of, I'll be honest, I think that if
At
these
some
are
point.
town cemeteries, I think it should be a subcommittee of a commission or a board of the town.
yeah,
And I think that, you know, that definitely could be done.
the route.
Yeah, I think that that's a better way to do it. And then at some point, you know, if they wanted to make it a 501c, they could do that, 501c3.
Maybe just, you know, get an informal group of people that's just an informal group of people that reports to historic. And if it's still doing things in 9 months, bring it up for the November town meeting, but we'd like to put this on and create a formal certification. You know, but at this point,
So what do we do in the interim? So we still have objectives to be reached, right? And that is get back into the cemetery, a cemetery, and keep the work done. And build on that group of volunteers.
I think it would be good to take cemetery level, have access to, and develop a procedure. Yeah, you know, I have a lot of stuff here that I've written. What are you gonna do first? What do you need to document first? Do we leave it, the stone laying on its side and then laying around it, you know, just very specific things. And then how do you even give me a rudimentary little map of where things are and how do you plot that out? I mean, I think there's a lot of procedures that even need to be developed.
Right.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And you, like you said, that's ultimately, that's what we want to do for every cemetery.
right.
So it would be really good to do it a small group,
Mhm.
to do it for one cemetery. You could even use that cemetery again as like a training thing for like Mancucci's.
Yeah.
We could do another seminar and get more interest and get people in, but just do it in one. It might even make sense to do it at Bicknell, as we've already started there. maybe.
Right.
But once you've got that, and you've got the brush cleared away, and you've got the stones and the maps and all the details that you want, I think that's a really good idea. If we could set a timetable to do something like that, which one is manageable for a group. If we could do that, and then, as Dan says, once that's done, you can take it to the select board and say, hey, look, we've done this for one. There's 19 others we would like to do it for. But in order to do that, we are going to need more funds. We're going to need to be able to attract more people. We've got the procedure. You can show them, lay out, and say, this is what we've done.
Yeah.
And it would be really good to do that for the others, and then you can keep it going on an ongoing basis, because it's probably going to take 5 years easily to get all these stones, and more than that to get them done.
Yeah, when you look at
5
the
years
stones
is the
that have to
rotation.
be reset.
Right,
You
yeah.
have to have somebody who really can, I mean, I could never.
Or you have to have
I could, I can
equipment,
sit
yeah.
laying down, but I can't get it back up.
Well, I mean, you got that right.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, and it's all very well buying the equipment, but then you've got to have somebody who knows how to use the equipment.
Yeah.
Somebody who's not worried about putting their back out doing it. That's gonna, that's
I know two people.
I know one, but he might be a little bit encouraging to do it.
Carlo and Eddie.
There we go.
Carlo too.
But you know, I like that. I like that a lot, that we do one cemetery, then we know what it involves, and then we can bring people in and say, okay, this is how long it takes, this is what it involves, this is what cost we're in for. You only need to do the stones every 5 years, so we've got a rotation thing going on. And present it, and then say, okay, let's, you know, spend 9 months, we've been doing this is what we've achieved, and we want to do the other 19.
And I love to show people like the pictures of the Bicknell family.
Oh, yeah.
And Simon Bicknell, who's
Well, we said the other thing is, you know, if we could get, like either a subcommittee or a committee or board, whatever it happens to be, that can get funding, then we can start talking about nice, decent signage.
yeah.
And we can have, like we said, a nice thing that like we got up at the Only Cook Shop, you know, and it can have the cemetery plot on it, who the key people were in there, where they're buried, and then even like pictures of the Mancucci's cleaning stones or resetting stones. You know, it would be really cool to
QR
have one of
codes.
those, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
Love
yeah.
the idea
Yeah.
of trying the QR
I mean,
code.
there's so much you can do, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then there's so much education involved in it too, the other thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to, the orientation and what kind of stone is this? I mean, there's all these, I mean, like it's crazy, like you can't say, oh, this is just, I mean, after there's masonry that's involved, and if there's stonework involved, and if there's ironwork involved, I mean, it's like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But when you do the actual documentation, it's just,
Right.
there's like pages.
Oh, well, I'm sure it's a whole
Yeah,
set.
I mean, there's a real educational component to it.
And then one of the things that they asked me
God bless you.
at the Swandown meeting was, well, do you not have to ask permission from a family to clean and repair stones?
We didn't, we just went into it tonight.
are we supposed to ask permission? I mean, if the town owns the cemetery and it's a disused cemetery, there's still people's family, like we know the people went in and were pressure washing those taxstones.
Right.
I think that's where you want to have a policy, because if, otherwise you'd be doing, 20 years of deed searching per stone before you can clean it.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Right.
I think there'd just be the general assumption that if it's over a certain age, it's, fair game, for lack of a better term.
The tenants give their permission.
oh, thank you. They're so great. They've already been cleaned. They have no more say in it.
But they.
They do. All right, so for right now, the focus is the different workshop. Yeah, on the ground. Boots on the ground.
I think that was successful.
Boots on the ground. Let's get another workshop. Yeah.
Let's choose a cemetery. What is it?
Like now, well, if we're gonna do it, as like the star, it's a, we have to get more. There's a lot of heavy lifting, and they've got all over the ground. And there are stones that are just tagged and nowhere to be found. So that one's going to take a lot of scrutiny,
Okay, all right.
digging in. But anyone who wants to do it, out of this group is, and anyone of the McNell group that wants to do it is more than welcome to jump in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's far more complicated.
Well, we need to get documentation of it, no matter what.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, it will have to be done eventually.
Touched.
So
Maybe we start using.
yeah, so we started taking photographs. But you can't go in until a month, I think it's like 3 weeks from now. When the woman moves out, then we can go in and document it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Or just let us know when.
All right, excellent.
So
It's
I
really
wonder if we
lovely.
could get like a sign when we're cleaning, since it's so busy.
Right,
Want to join us, call this number.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We need something for them to join. We're not a bunch of people blowing up the phone.
Or just contact the
But
commission.
I'm saying, we'll get all these people calling us, what do we do? I'm ready to go tomorrow. We have nothing for them.
Yeah,
And no project, no equipment,
Oh, yeah,
no
I
group,
think
no
what we need
leader.
to do is we need to pick a date.
I just, I think the workshop, that's, in terms of this, the workshop, doing a workshop was good because it just keeps momentum going. I think we need to close out this thing with Plaza on that wall.
Yeah.
And then we need to maybe set a meeting with Ted to go to all the cemeteries and come up with a plan in the short term. Does he have money he can spend? Is there money he asks from us?
Yeah.
And at least then we can get a few things done. Should be small things.
well, yeah, I mean, if people are just like, boom, ready to go, I think as long as they sign waivers, we can say, all right, go to Pleasant Street, here's the address,
Yeah.
write down the stones you've seen and document photographs. I mean, that's a great way to get people just jumping in.
That would be great,
I
yeah.
think we're going to need to have a form, because there's no other formation.
Yeah, okay.
I think personal.
So you want to do an individual form, and that's required, so that needs to be developed.
There needs to be documentation first before we do it.
Yeah, okay, all right.
You need to know what,
All right, well, then,
when the drones.
then
That's a good
we'll
idea.
definitely map it out in a document form.
We could come up with a list of, things, those action items. That's something you can hand out at the workshop to say, here's a list of things. We'll make a sign up genius so we can clean up. Sign up for these, you're gonna go to whatever cemetery and document the things. That would be good.
If we can get the documentation done, that would be wonderful, because then you prioritize, you look at what is worse, what's decaying fastest.
Yeah.
What do we need to take care of?
Great social connection. I know it's really strange for like all over the cemetery, but it's a great way to build a whole new community of people who have that interest. And we had so many post phone calls after we did McNell. People were driving by and then they call or send an email and say, what were you doing? Are you
Well,
going
look,
to do it
I
again?
mean, that's one of the first places that people go when they go to a town or something for the history. I mean, I'd never been to Philadelphia. We went to Philadelphia last year, Mark and I. Straight away, we went into 3 different cemeteries. And it was amazing. It was kind of, oh my God, that's the doctor who did so-and-so. And then there's this. And you know, they're all labelled. We don't have to go that far. We're a little, but anybody who is key to the town, we could get a small plaque
Absolutely.
with, you know, Taft or whatever, with their birthday. They died just on the stone. There's nothing to stop doing that. And then we could develop, you know, this, if the subcommittee wanted to, part of it could actually be to develop, like you say, the QR codes.
Yeah.
Because that's what they've got on all of them. You just click your phone and there you go, and it comes up with.
So, you know, maybe
Good
people
idea.
want to join this, you know, subcommittee, you know, and get an email address that somebody could write to.
Yeah.
Or put it up when we're out there.
Awesome. All right, so when do we want to, so we missed the deadline for advertising for May. So we're looking at June to do a workshop.
Do we need to call the Mancucci's and see what their availability is?
Well, do we want to pay to do another workshop or a mini workshop?
I think so.
What are you thinking, or you just run it yourself? With the equipment you already have?
I mean, we've got a certain amount of the equipment. All we'd be able to do at this point really is to show anybody how to clean. We wouldn't be able to reset stones, we wouldn't be able to do anything like that.
I think you're gonna have to set somebody professional to reset the stone, right?
But it's the cleaning, I think the cleaning is.
I think the cleaning would be
The cleaning is
awesome.
the key thing, yeah.
Save the reset,
By-
hire professionals to.
But even if we could get some people that, you know, could actually, they're into gardening, that could actually kind of neaten all around the edges of the stones, clean what's on the floor, but then neaten around the edges of it. You know, people with some shears or something, and at least make it look nice, so it's not just something that people use as stepping stone.
Right, right.
I mean, if, at that point, and then we can, you know, people can kind of say down the road, it would be good to do this, that, or whatever.
And then maybe what we can do is we can split a instructional program with another town in the fall.
Yeah.
If we want to do that.
Mhm.
So we're going to hit 2 benchmarks.
Yeah.
One is to get out there and work in McDowell. The other is to have a workshop in the fall.
Yeah.
All right,
I think that would be really
let's do
good.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we have the date of the workshop in the fall, if we could get one of those, we'll put it on outside of Bignell, you know, workshop.
Yeah.
Yes.
Workshop coming.
Excellent idea.
September, whatever.
I love it.
If you're interested, yeah. And if you're interested, they could come on, just put the,
If I can
Just
Get it
charge
done.
Just charge it.
they could actually put, couldn't we make, if turkeys, couldn't we maybe make a separate email address?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we should have a
A separate, yeah,
Yeah. Can have World Band.
I don't know who'd do that.
World Band will set up another group, but somebody's gotta be on the receiving end of all those emails.
I don't mind doing that.
So I would say, you know, or really, you know, what is the, sorry, I missed, what is the purpose? Just collect, I would just make a Google form or
To
something.
separate everything out, so it's not coming to historic and getting lost.
Yeah.
So it is, so people are aware that they're actually sending an email to a cemeteries group or subcommittee or whatever it is. And that's where it's going. And if we want to go and look in and see what's in there, we've got it in there.
So the way this works for the town is it's a distribution list, so it's gonna be exactly the same as historical. The cemeteries in Denmark, and it's gonna go to whoever it needs to go to. There's no provision really for shared email in a way that would be useful to us. So-
The town, it probably can't, unless they.
But you know, if the goal is just collecting signups, we can just create like a registration form or something.
And have them sent it to historic.
I think until we have a tangible thing for people to sign up for, I'd be hesitant putting too much out there because we're just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
crap.
Oh, yeah.
to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if we advertise this event, and then at that event, we should have some sort of a sign up available to do future work.
The dates have to be planned in advance, Peter, so you
Yeah.
know what's going on.
Well, I think the future work would be like,
Whatever, let's do it. We need to find out that date first.
The Mancucci's,
Yeah,
But if we did something in the spring, that's maybe a remedial workshop on cleaning, you could then have a kind of self-service, like the town cleanup for additional work, where you can basically say, go on here, sign up, here's the procedure, pick up the supplies,
I like that.
yeah.
you know. I think you could probably phrase it in such a way like, hey, you could go to Home Depot and buy yourself a little skirt brush for $2 and it's yours.
I think they have to, yeah, and you've
They
got to
can
make sure. as
Check
well
out things from us, or we'll figure out how to handle that.
Well, you have to know as well what cemetery they're gonna do.
That's what you do as like a sign-up genius.
Yeah, but it's gotta be for a specific
Well, this will
cemetery.
only
There has to be like,
now.
as you say, a subcommittee or somebody who's gonna
Yeah.
be responsible for
Yeah.
saying go there.
Yeah.
But I think you make it like the town cleanup. You go sign up for a street and there's so many slots available.
Mhm.
And I think you start there. And
I like that.
I think there's some people that would be happy to just go out and do that
Independently.
just for,
Yeah,
go clean, a bunch
So
of
the
the
only,
weekend.
the thing is that we've got to, but I think we've got to keep a little bit of a tighter rope on it than that though. I don't think we want people just going out independently.
No, you're saying they sign up. I'm going to sign up to go do Old Town Cemetery for one day. That's the control we have. And when I'm done, I'm gonna report back what I did.
yeah.
Which towns they've done.
Yeah,
You have to make sure that they know what they're doing.
well, because they attended our workshop
Okay,
and
for the workshop.
Yeah.
cleared them to be part of this thing.
Right.
Yeah, they have to be, and I think
So
we're
maybe
gonna need to keep a tight handle on
from this workshop, we build a list of 15 people.
Yeah.
And you have a group that you're sending an email and just saying, here's what needs to get done. Report back to us.
Yeah.
So Ruth and Peg were saying that they had been to a workshop in a different town, and they weren't actually talking about D3. There's another chemical that they used,
It's probably
which is similar, I would think. I don't know.
I would think so.
So, we've got to make sure that, I just think that we've got to be very careful that it's controlled.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I don't want to be controlling anything, but you've got to make sure that you don't all of a sudden, get someone that says, oh, I think I've got something that would do a better job than this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they start putting chemicals or blood pressure or anything on it.
so in a
Yeah. Hearing before of these people, maybe the trails, maybe the cemetery steward will fall out of that.
and we can actually, we can have a checklist that they've been trained. And that they would send it to a workshop. And then, any additional training that they take on, I mean, there's just all kinds of opportunities here.
Right.
So, all right, so as we kind of formulate all that, when we, tonight, 17th, entering June. So sometime in June. Early the better. So hot. It was windy last year.
I don't know, it was hot.
It was hot.
Was hot.
We should also, we have the list from last year. Okay,
We do.
Yeah.
I will hand that right over to you.
this is the end.
It's great. I know. I was so tentative about it. What a great
It always wonderful.
house that you turned
I
out.
have somebody else had a shower that I went
I
to.
mean, you could do like,
Good job.
you could do like the beginning of June, like June 3rd or 4th, or the week after, like the 10th, 11th. We're gonna do it on a Sunday.
I actually, I mean, it's graduation weekend, but then I think we could do it. Because a lot of
Or
parents,
graduation weekend, the 4th.
or the third or something.
No, that's a Saturday, so 3rd, yeah, I think.
Right, so I think they either graduate on Friday night or Saturday.
Right.
So, I mean, if it's graduation weekend, a lot of people go to graduation, so a lot of important graduations.
Well, and I mean, you can,
June 2nd.
that's a Friday, right?
Is that correct? Is this? I don't know. So it might be June 2nd.
June 2nd is the Friday, so the June Sunday. So Sunday, June 4th.
And then, rain day would be the following weekend unless it's, I don't think that's,
Monday,
Thursday is the 18th.
this is the 18th. All right, so we got
that's the 18th, so we look at
the
the 11th.
11th.
Yeah,
I'm tentatively away on the 4th. I should be at the 11th, but
I might not be around for the 4th, I'm not sure. Can't see
but we should be able to. If I can't even be there on the day, I can be there.
Should we do
No,
it
the
the third?
problem is, I'm just, that Sunday, the week before, I'm just getting
You're doing what?
getting a dog.
Another one?
A dog?
Yeah, I know, I'm not gonna say anything.
He's a Chihuahua mix, he's 12.
Bless it.
My cousin just got a Pomchi mix. That says
Wow.
she gets senior dogs. They rescue senior dogs. Really good.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Now is he going to be deaf so he doesn't come and call it?
No, that's the one I just got.
She just does that. When the Penniman's left her, she felt this emptiness in and so the Penniman's called.
All right, so we can all June 4th then.
All right,
You always bring in a time after. No,
so June 4th to 11th, I paid for you to miss that, Gina.
And so that's for cleaning the stones, right?
Yeah. So we'll do it now. It'll be simply cleaning only.
Yep.
And just grounds work. I mean, we could do some raking. I mean, this.
Well, I think we could definitely do that. I don't think it would hurt to say to people, you know, if you want to come, you can bring the little plastic shovels,
Yeah.
little plastic scrubbing brushes. We will supply everything else. We'll have to get the water again and the toilets. Of course,
Do we have a toilet?
we had a toilet.
No, we didn't.
We did.
No, we told everyone to go to Dunkin'
no, we
Donuts.
went to the
I
toilet.
rented a toilet.
Depending on the timing, I wouldn't waste. I mean, up to you. It's only a few hours. That's a lot of money. $200. Like
Did anyone use it? I don't even.
I think 3 people.
Yeah. We'll let people go to Dunkin's.
I think it would be easier.
Coffee runs.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think we couldn't do that before because we have to make Gucci's there. If it's just us,
Yeah, I think we don't use.
I think I could have people that use it.
The thing is, there's not gonna be the lecture, so you can just, you know.
I think there should be to a certain extent.
Yeah.
We're going to take like an opportunity to talk to people and tell them what the plan is and, and, you know.
So like a half an hour tutorial on how to
Yeah.
clean and
Or have some
describe this
minutes.
stuff.
We are sending people on barrels again, though,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, and anything else that we might need.
Did
All
you
right.
get the water stuff last time?
And then I did.
far from the thing, so probably end up going to storage. So you probably can use them. I don't think.
I found icy knowledge all the time. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna get now, we're gonna put a sign up early, we're gonna put an article in the paper, we'll blast it on Facebook. We will give people to decide for to different ability levels. Someone to decide what clean will be clean. If somebody wants to see our
Second, it's like that, if you're interested, you know, you're interested in seeing well, but we also always need people to come to go anyway. You know, pages, things like that, we can actually, you know, make the welcome
we also give the layout that the graph with the stones that we have go and check to see if the stones are actually where they want to be. So we can have a little research and go at the same time.
There's also tons of just general landscape you could just say. I get it. Alan's gonna go to the lawyer.
I was gonna say, I just said my husband got. It's just like
It'll be
a tree down in my garden, and he killed it. So bad. He just pulled the trees away. And it just went all the way. Inside my house. Yeah. Right. So we're done with sanitary.
Yep, just one more question. The contact information, for people who are interested would be historic monument.gov. This, now,
Yes, I think so.
okay, right,
Yeah. And then we can develop. Yeah.
yeah, we can graduate after that.
That's a good idea.
I will call the main coaches about,
Maybe we should make a Google form or do something so people can just go register.
that'd be great. And we need to probably ask Karis to do like a piece of
Do we
liability.
have one from the last one?
We do, but we kind of made that up years ago.
Okay. There should be a boilerplate. In fact, I think I have it from the insurance company. We're just gonna change the event
All right,
from the 350th.
all right.
Should we use it, make the changes, and then send it to Paris, just to see if there's anything else we need to do with it?
Yeah. And then we'll explain, we just have to map out what people are gonna be doing.
Just, I don't know what the rules are. I was always told anything for town council needs to go through the select board.
Well, we now have it in Kiara, so.
No, I know, just in general, sometimes it don't seem like it seems to be allowed, but I was always told that you had to get permission because it costs money.
Oh, yes, we understand that. We also were,
I know, like the record room is an ongoing project. I just hate to start drama over something else. Because that's been an issue with other people in the past and then that is used as a wedge issue to, find fault with people, so that's all.
whatever you can find.
Yeah, okay. All right, so,
Might even be able to just take the waiver from the town cleanup that she already did.
yeah, I mean, I would, unless there is more liability because they're gravestones.
And they were all working independently.
You look at it, I think it just changed it from cleanup to.
Terms from the graveyard, from what they pick up. It's true.
Oh, boy. Right, I already have 2 pages of notes. We're gonna have to stop.
That's right, because some of these, I was gonna say, some of these won't take long. The next item is town hall renovations. We are not allowed to discuss this. We are not allowed to discuss that at all because of the letters that we received. We will be talking about that. We're not be talking about it. We will be going into executive session so that we can just tell you that you're not allowed to say anything. So, I've got it right here.
All right, well, let's,
My reading of that letter was just that they
Oh, wait a minute.
want to speak to individuals involved in the project.
We have been advised, further advised that we are not to discuss any of it.
with anyone.
With anyone.
We can.
We can't talk about it.
Explain
With each other. We are not allowed to talk about it with each other.
So,
We're not allowed to talk
so-
about it at all.
so someone has, I mean, that, to me, that sounds like this is an appointed board of the select board,
Mhm.
and now we're being told that we can't, I mean, that sounds like a First Amendment violation.
Yes,
That's what I said exactly.
We have that in, well, who was that in writing? Because all I have is this letter, so I was not advised anything.
We can't talk about, well, let's not talk about this anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we've been advised, let's just take it as that, and,
I would ask, is there anything subsequent to that letter that it should have been sent to the whole commission if it was done verbally, then
then you can't.
whatever.
Yes, but so,
To whoever, not to you, whoever sent it, I'm not saying you.
Right,
as
no,
it,
got
as
it.
it stands at the moment, I think I did also send everybody a list of my reply.
I don't think I did.
I did send, didn't I send everybody a list of my reply?
Nope.
No, I didn't see it.
I can talk about it when we go into our section. Yep, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go on to, we will come back to this for the executive session. Number 6 on our agenda is the records room. We are limited again as to what we can say, but Kathy has been working a little cut off to get the grant together. She got in touch with Mass Historic. There were some things that were missing, and she has addressed all of those items. If not completed, they have been at least addressed. So we are still hoping and keeping our fingers crossed that grant is built in and be accepted, and we move forward on the records room. You know, we don't. A couple of other things came up when we went to the CPC meeting. It was suggested by one of the members there that we look at maybe putting a concrete wall all the way around the records room to stop the water coming in. And what the cost that might be. We spoke to Armando, who is the designer architect for this project. He said that that could be anywhere in the range of, was it 30 to 75,000 to do that? And it wouldn't actually solve the problem. Well, it's groundwater coming up, it would go underneath the concrete. It might prevent some of it, but it's not going to solve it. And I did speak with Michael Mendelier, who is on CPC, who's in construction. And he was laughing us out with this. We will come to the conclusion that we want to fix this room. But that is only a small part of the problem. The problem is the whole water, groundwater up there. If we can solve the groundwater issue, not only will it help all the houses and the people that live there, it will stop the majority of the water coming from anyway. But, you know, we can't, what we're looking at doing is solving the water issue just for the records room, which personally I think is going to create more water issues for the access to this building. So it may involve a little bit more, but at least Mike is on the same page. You know, and I'm loath to go to the town and say, you know, we want 250,000 to put a concrete wall up or do this or do this. And then come back in 6 months and say, oh, very fed up with these things where you keep going, oh, 50,000 here and 20,000 here. And that's rightly so, because I'm about it as well. So I think what we need to do is we need to see what money we've got coming from grant, hopefully we get some, and then, you know, work with people to the answers, you know, roles who give us a privacy that the key knows. I mean, it doesn't help, I think, that our septic system's going in, how that's going to affect the ground. So,
We chatted once. That is not a triangle, I think it's overbuilt. With the church septic, you know, and I think that whole area needs fairly involved. hydroelectric study, but they're not talking millions. And I still ask them and be, so that's definitely an advocate person.
He is no better to direct from, so, yeah.
That can be.
And it's gonna get worse and worse and worse, and we've got, I mean, we're looking at 2 buildings that we've got there, and you've got the church, and you've got, you know, three residential properties, that water situation not gonna get any better.
No, and stormwater management on Route 16 is going to get increasingly worse.
Yeah.
Everything is bad enough already.
Yeah.
That's where the water comes from. It comes pouring down 16.
Right.
And I don't think it's quite been addressed to the volume that it's coming in as.
Right.
It's probably antiquated at this point.
Well, I think what, you know, building and everything there is along 16,
Yeah.
you're just pushing all that
In
straight
vertical
out.
surface,
Yeah.
yes.
So, you know, you're swimming, driving in the same.
Sure, you involve highway, because there's a whole thing with the MS4 and stormwater permitting and all
Yeah.
that stuff out there. So any discussions, if that comes up,
It's gonna be like several people, we're talking with town council about it as well. You know, she was saying there's a certain, you know, structure of levels to go through. And she said at some point, before you do anything, you've got to have like water people, you've got to have water health, you need highway, you need all these different people in there before. I think people sometimes sit back and say, okay, we've got that one, and then there are people that you see.
that people aren't invited, that these conversations get handled by one board. And
Well, then we need to invite.
so I appreciate that that's coming from council, that this has to be a comprehensive approach, because I think that's, you're right, that's the solution.
It is, and everyone needs to sit around and just figure out a way to do it, because, otherwise we're spending a lot of money.
Well, to circle back to record growth, so this grant, what we're doing now, though, I think it's still viable. We're basically stabilizing this building, addressing concerns, putting in, you know, a sump pump and better control the water that is coming in. So I think it all, I mean, unless we're, I mean, I guess I'm confused. Are we saying walk away from the whole thing or still do the work?
I don't know, we're saying it still needs to be stabilized, but what we need to do is, we need to have a plan in place that if we're spending this money on this little building, that it's not just gonna be done and walked away from, and then Kathy's gonna have to go and start getting rid of all the mark out sump pump every week.
Right, but I think, I'd be careful, and especially town meeting, I'd be careful how much into the weeds we get. You know, what's before town meeting is funding to stabilize the building.
Right.
Hopefully get a grant that's gonna pay some amount of that cost.
Yeah.
And then absolutely, there's long-term plans, and I think the ultimate goal is some sort of adaptive reuse of this building.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is yet, but it could be a lot, you know.
You know,
Yes,
it could well be.
be a winery.
That wine.
All right.
Just getting the sump pump that was in there now has probably stopped some of the deterioration that was happening before.
Oh, yeah, that
Sure.
little thing that just goes, and I can't even imagine what the electric.
The little engine that could,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so it's,
And it's pooping out quick.
so, I mean, it is kind of almost sort of a wait and see, because
Yeah.
we've got to ask for the money at town meeting. If we don't get the grant, then, you know,
And then
even if we're given the money, we
Right.
can't use it.
maybe we said, so that this is contingent upon the grant.
It is.
Which it probably should be, I'm not.
Yeah.
Right,
So I have another layer, which you're all going to be very excited to hear. But today, Paul Holtz explained to Armando that they are not doing any grant money towards the addition of the bathroom.
Okay,
okay.
So he has asked Armando to separate the two.
Mhm.
So the balance of what we'll need, we'll have to adjust and go back to CPC for that.
can I ask, so I don't have the numbers in front of me, what was the cost of the bathroom?
I don't know, that's what he's doing.
Because I think we deal, we deal with this, I've dealt with this with some other, like, parts of the town hall, it may not affect the total, so the grant was gonna pay 60%, right?
50.
50%.
Yeah.
So so we were gonna front 50% of the money,
Yeah.
Wasn't the.
So if his bathroom is less than 50%, it's a non-issue. It just means the part we pay needs to pay the bathroom part.
Yeah,
That's all.
But if we, but
'Cause the
the
bathroom's not a
bathroom
million
was
bucks.
not, I don't think the bathroom was in this phase.
well, no,
The
the,
structure of the addition.
yeah.
Right.
So while we're opening up the ground, and this is what I emailed to Armando, I said, if we're cracking ground to do a French drain, we need to get that foundation finished.
But if we're also opening up foundation, are we not gonna have more water issues?
Yeah, but I'm just thinking that even if we can get the CPC to pay for the framework, my guess is they're gonna just say, do it.
I don't think, because we're at, and I see the numbers, we're asking for how much money we're asking for?
117,
173,
170.
yeah.
What's the total project cost though? Is it the 173? Just because we have to be careful too, because sometimes CPA can go down these insane rabbit holes of like nitty gritty that just
Yeah.
really complicate things. I mean, I certainly, want to be truthful about everything that's presented. I just don't want to.
Right.
Dive into
again,
stuff.
I mean, all of this information has been just coming in
Right.
rapid fire.
It makes perfect sense. I wouldn't pay for new work,
Right.
but
Although if it makes the building viable, I thought that they would at least contribute. Like now they're saying they can't do electrical. It's like, really? No insulation? What?
that's weird.
I know. So let's see, let's take a look and see what Armando said.
Because we have to appropriate 60% or something, right?
75.
Oh, you posted all those minutes already?
Yeah. Come on.
I needed to-
Here, I might be able to find it. Here's the proposal.
It's on the warrant,
I
isn't
just
it?
got a new one from Armando though.
Okay.
I'm just forwarding it.
I just want to like do out the numbers and do the math just to make sure.
We have to come up with 75%, did you say?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
just said something.
75%, but that's 25% is like an overage.
Right.
right there. Sending this now. Lynn,
Same thing I'm going through with these lights or with the town hall project.
sorry, it's just out of my wheelhouse.
I was gonna say, other people don't seem to care, but,
Janice, I'm sending this to your other account.
I just be careful to ask. I mean, the key, and even if we have to ask for an extra $10,000 or something, it's better to have it than to have to go back, like you just said before,
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
It's funny because there's definitely a certain level of confusion inside the grants division as to how this is all supposed to roll out. Like they checked off that we needed an RFP and then you say, well, you don't need an RFP. I'm like, well, what exactly are you meaning by that?
It's funny, and the land, the park grants are the same thing, like all the language that's gonna be on the warrant for the lights, if this happens.
Oh, yeah.
They are so particular about the exact wording and what you vote and how you voted.
so do you think they're saying that they won't include the bathroom or anything like that, but surely we had to have the bathroom and the ramp in there to be ADA compliant, but they're not worried that's a different grant to get that?
I don't know, because so CPA considers new ADA work on a historic building as an allowable expense. I could understand that this grant, and especially because it's a partial grant, so they're saying that they want to focus their money on the old stuff for the restoration, and maybe they're realizing that because we have CPA funds, it's not as much of an issue.
All right, so I just sent it over to you. He has got planned construction cost with all the markups at 231, 615.
So 231, so I'm just going to use 232. So 232 times 0.75 is $174,000. That's how much money we have to vote on.
Yeah.
But the grant is going to pay half of 232, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
So the grant would be 116, but okay, so say the bathroom's $30,000. So now the grant pays half of that. So the grant pays 100, and Mendon, instead of paying 116. So hang on a second, the grant pays 100 and Mendon has to pay 130 instead of 116. But we're asking for 174. So we're all set.
Right, so I'm guessing that that extra 25%, we're just gonna,
I don't think the bathrooms, I'd have to look at his numbers. I don't think the bathroom's gonna be a huge, it'd be one thing if that was 80% of the project.
right, but it's not. I mean, yeah, so, yeah, you'll see that in the breakdown, what we could probably absolutely include, like wood framing, 18,000, siding materials, 4,000.
And I'd be careful, because this came up a few times at CPA, to just clarify, when they say bathroom, all they're doing is like roughing in fixtures. There's no plumbing, there's no well, there's no hot water tank, none of that. It's just, here's where the toilet goes, and a hole in the floor.
Common work results for plumbing. Common work results for electrical.
That's all.
About 20,000.
So it may not be a big deal then.
No,
It just might, it might reduce the grant amount. So like we could have gotten 116, we'll only get 100.
right,
But we're appropriating 75% of the cost. So it's kind of built in. I mean, if you want to up that number, I'd have to look at
you
this.
might want to do that just. But we'll know, he'll have all the absolute numbers out tomorrow. By midnight, he'll send them over and then we'll have all the,
So before Tuesday, we can.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So I should ask, I mean, I think, you know, to me, $200,000 for this project is not unreasonable.
I don't think
Millions
it's,
in CPA. It's a proper expense. It's saved lighting in a building that's important to us.
Yeah.
I think that's the goal here, and the other details will work out, but, you know, in terms of CPA, the point of it's historic preservation, that's what we're doing here.
right, exactly. And I think it's gonna be really important at the annual town meeting that we get up next Friday, and make a compelling argument to everyone about why this building is worth saving.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if we had a couple of pictures, if you can say, I mean, if
Yeah.
if you want to go as far as putting, you know, sometimes you don't want to do a big presentation because it just.
Yeah, I don't want to over-present
But
it.
it might be worth just having a picture, you know, a couple of pictures we can put up showing like, this is what the building looks like, but here's all the crap that needs to be fixed.
Right, exactly.
You know, because I think if you look at that building, you see that there's potential there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody,
Giving the historic value.
Yeah. How many times in master plan are we talking about, you know, pop up this and little, you know, mixed use and stuff?
right, exactly. And that's exactly where we.
That's what could go here.
Go, right, yeah.
Isn't this the building you want?
Oh, I do, but you know, but when you look at it, it just,
We're gonna give it to you, damn, for a dollar.
you know, some of these houses you go and look at and they're an absolute dump. You know, it's a historic house, but it's a dump. The record room, you can see the potential. It really, I
It
mean,
doesn't
And
take
we
much
have a
to push
building,
it
and
into
we
that
have
spot.
people that are willing to donate the land to make it useful.
right, you have things
And it's
coming,
historical.
a grant opportunity. And it's money that's coming in the bank, we're not raising your taxes, it's money that's gathering dust in the bank.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna spend it on? If it's not that, it'll be something else.
If not, then we just build up more and more money in historic for someone to come along with the big project and take all the funds.
Right. But there, you know, you're running out of those projects because they have to be public, they have to be whatever.
Right, but we've got that little room, we all love that little room, everybody in town loves that little room, let's fix it.
It's good. All right.
We're putting up with all the ridiculous grant stuff because
Yeah, she's all.
And I know you know exactly what that's all about.
this one in particular, because seeing it now twice, they're very picky.
I saw something the other day, actually, from, I think it was Mass Historic that came around as a circular saying about they've got a class you can go to learn how to write these grants.
Yeah, I might just take that
I was thinking I might too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's always useful to have.
exactly,
So maybe
exactly.
I'll have a look at it and then I'll send it around to anybody.
Yeah,
that
let me
wants to
know,
go.
because I would like to know how to
I
write.
would like to
Better
know what they're
grants.
looking for,
Yeah.
and the timing is the thing to me. It's kind of, you know, they don't want anything and then it's rush, but
Yeah.
then you've got to have, well, we've got to get the survey and engineering and then this, but you can't use them for that, and then you've got to do an RFP, and you have to write an RFP, and I mean, I can do it. helicopters, but I don't know how to do it this.
From what?
The other thing is,
Wow.
there's a lot of grants available for cemetery work.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but wouldn't it be good, I mean, it would be so useful just to know if, like, there's so many grants out there all the time that are coming through, to know what you could possibly apply for or
Yeah.
not, I mean, but if you know how to actually write the grant.
I have a feeling that Connie probably could do
She
what she
seems
likes.
like a shoo-in to me to do that kind of thing, but you know,
Is that why you're so quiet?
she's smart, she's not saying no. She is. All right, so let's move on. The next item is just the ATM historic articles, which is what we pretty much just discussed. So we've got this at town meeting next week.
Check if there's anything. Actually, there is something else we should talk about briefly. Maybe. I just want to look at the warrant.
Is there a demo? Oh, that was just.
No, that was a whole fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said, did you get the picture?
I asked that from Meg. I actually, so I realized I emailed him because he's from an architect from, like, gee, let's talk about the beach, about the bathrooms,
Yeah.
and just give us some, what, like, proposals. So I don't know, I never knew him that well. I've just, like, seen him around.
Very nice.
Very nice.
It's always
I mean, even when he came out and said, no, anything goes missing, don't worry, I'll just write off another copy, and I'm going, what? You know, you have 50 of these around.
He's very gingerly taking the place apart, which I find very endearing. Like,
I mean-
taking the lights out.
Yeah, but you know,
Doing
how nice that someone is concerned about it,
Yeah.
rather than just knock it down and go, oh, yes, they don't do it. I mean, how many times have we had that?
Yeah. It's amazing how fast they can come
The
down.
house on Millville Road, Burnham,
Yes,
I don't know if I emailed you yet, that permit came through.
Okay, so that's coming
If you
down.
want any pictures or anything, chat with him.
Yeah.
I commented on people like saying, I didn't get a response, so you probably need to call Craig.
Okay.
I just moved out at this point.
All right. Do you want to call? All right.
either way.
Just maybe reach out, I know we had talked
Do you want
about,
me to call him?
And if you want, I don't know, I know that was kind of a delicate thing, and it was look, we just want to take some pictures of the old house,
Right.
take the sledgehammer to it, that's all. So if you
Has
have,
that permit been granted?
hang on, I'll tell you, it just came through the other day. My guess is it's waiting for the building inspector.
Do we we'd have to go back and look on the application page, to know
I can,
if you have it?
can't see it, what was it, 91?
We should be pass this out online.
Yeah.
No, I'll give it to you afterwards.
Okay, or just email it to me then, that's fine.
Details, it's waiting on the building inspector to sign off, I'm sure he will. This is just.
Which house is this?
Is it 53?
91.
91? Oh, no, that's the building house, yeah.
Yeah, the little house next to where the parents live. Because they built it, because John's house is, Craig's house must be building out too now.
I think so.
John's is done.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know, it's right on top of the road.
And
So you read it,
I don't know.
nothing really good.
It's just, I mean, it's the same as town hall, but why is it so close to the road? Why would you not set that back? But it's not.
I think the road was.
No, the
Yeah.
whole road is dark.
Right.
For one.
The same thing on Millville.
Yeah.
they were probably dirt till about
And they had no
1960.
way of actually taking these really great boulders out, so they kind of went round them.
Yeah.
And then people came along and paved the road and went round them.
So, two things I think potentially this commission might want to vote on taking a formal position on. There's an article on the warrant to purchase 73 Providence Road, the back property. As you see, and a portion of that is going to be historic in terms of preserving the barn and potentially converting it, and then we're going to arrive at having a housing unit. So I don't know if this commission wants to just take a vote of, if they want to support that article or not. Sounds like council's built on both foundations.
Yeah, it's a poor house, but
They're also looking at making that affordable housing.
They're gonna buy the whole property, fix up the housing for affordable housing, the barn will either become a garage or maybe even a unit housing. We have to get somebody to look at it, and then the property is open space.
So when we say we support the article, we were saying that, just say, historical.
Historic Commission supports this. I mean, I think technically it's older than 75 years, so we don't have to designate it historic, but just, I think sometimes it's helpful when these big things come before the voters to understand that these boards do or don't support things.
Right. So I will make a motion unless anyone has any other questions.
I don't think so.
Man goes way back.
Right.
It's a huge, it's like,
So they're gonna get,
the
motion is to get all of that land in the back there.
and it abuts a bunch of protected space. It's a, it's a good deal.
There's, yeah,
It's valuable land, but I think it's a good parcel to hold on to and not just see turned into 100 houses.
Absolutely.
Smack in the middle of town.
Absolutely.
There's other places we should build houses. That's not one of them.
Right.
agreed. So I will make a motion to,
Support
Support.
the article.
Hang on. Articles 29 and 31.
29 and 31.
Purchase the attic property or something to that effect.
Purchase and,
For the town to purchase, for Kathy to purchase.
sure, I'll buy it.
You got any loose change in your pocket?
Like maybe 5 cents.
There we go. You want change?
Purchase and repurpose structures on the back property. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second. Did you second?
No, yeah,
Yeah, Connie.
Yeah.
There you go, Connie.
okay.
Second house at the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's a
the
nice
barn.
Going south, it's the one on the right hand side.
Yes.
Right, where the,
Not the one across the street.
no, where Providence Road goes up,
Okay.
that one with the barn there. And apparently the house itself lends itself very well to being two, like, apartments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it could
it
be-
does have an
Really
apartment.
nice, that's really nice to look out at this. If we make everything you need for two affordable housing units.
Great.
And then if it's 30 the barn, 3 affordable units. Okay, and the other one down is.
Other one-
All those in favor?
Oh, all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Okay,
And then the other bylaw, and I don't, maybe we don't want to get into it, is if this commission wants to take a position on the age restricted mixed use overlay district bylaw. The only thing I will say, if you haven't looked at it, there is a section in it that does say removal or disruption of historic, traditional, or significant uses, structures, or architectural elements shall be minimized insofar as practical on the site. The applicant must take measures to appropriately buffer all development from any existing historic district, historic structure, or scenic road. So these are a little bit of
I certainly believe the language in there is.
it's not the language in there.
Yeah.
my understanding is that, well, it's,
Did you just say that?
this is the plan, yeah, it's basically, yeah. But it doesn't exempt them from the delay or historic district or any of that. I mean, I do think,
But it sounded to me like it's not like.
It's not that definitive.
I don't think your bylaw can say they can't tear down a historic home. I don't think, I mean, good, I guess, but I don't think it would pass muster.
It gives
No, I
a
think
certain
it's-
level of boundaries.
Yeah. I know they go off the historic district, but they're gonna have a little bit of a struggle.
Right, I mean,
And the other bylaw that Ian wrote
open space thing. See,
around development, the shared element has the same issue too.
Yeah.
That the language is not, nailed into place, but, you're expected to.
No, I just,
Yeah.
It's much better than it was.
Yeah. And I wonder if that can be changed in the future.
what is this bylaw called again?
so what they, I mean, we don't,
It's
this,
mixed use.
they're proposing an overlay district bylaw that allows for mixed use, commercial, and over 55 housing. It's basically to allow a version of what was proposed with the driving range and Washington Street properties. My understanding is that the others have all gotten together and they've worked out and compromised on this, but it's also going to apply to some other properties.
Four,
Um,
three others in addition to this.
And I do know from
On Washington Street,
No.
on Washington
No,
Street.
one is
on
on.
Fino property, the Bod Sweets property,
Yeah,
I forget what other one.
and the other one is up by Providence, on Oxford Road.
Okay.
Is it the map?
I do, yeah, let me show you, hang on. And we don't necessarily want to get into it, but from what Nedart showed, a very brief overview of his plan, it looks like what he would build would be completely visually separate from Washington Street. So even though it's technically in the district, I think it would probably be exempt. But district met with him, and what he was proposing from a district perspective was, from the houses were fine. They were,
Right, I mean, that's where it counts.
here, I can share this.
They've just increased the number of houses.
Yeah, I haven't dived into the
But
details.
they also eliminated a couple of things too, right?
I think they eliminated a couple of things on the commercial section.
Yes, they cut, they,
And they were on Washington Street.
yes, they completely isolated from Washington Street.
Isolated, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I think the original plans for a grocery store, a detached bank, and something else, and now I think it's just two buildings or something.
I think they're still having that, memorial, whatever that thing is, that shop that produces memorials, but it was more,
I don't know, that,
it's actually taken back, the commercial area is taken back.
they're gonna basically resubmit their commercial proposal, so this is just the bylaw that would now allow this development, which is denser housing with shared utilities with the commercial. So I don't know, maybe we don't want to necessarily vote on it, I just figured I'd bring it up because it did have a little tinge of historic in there.
Yep, well, and it's something we've all been interested in.
Yeah, maybe this is one where the commission maybe shouldn't take a formal position.
I think they shouldn't on this. Let the town vote for the bylaw.
I think
As
it's a good
individuals,
discussion.
we want to get up and say something, we can, but I do think, I think we need to make sure that they stay in historic and. So the letter that I was talking to you about, we'll talk about in a minute, I actually put in my drafts to talk to you guys about today. So we can talk about that if you want to.
There was something else, speaking of,
Okay, as far as I know, there is no any other business, so we can go into, so what we should do, we should close this meeting and go into executive
so
session.
we're gonna make a motion to enter into the executive session for the purpose that's stated on the agenda,
Okay,
and we're going to reconvene only to adjourn.
okay, that sounds good.
So I'll move to enter an executive session to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health, rather than professional competence of an individual, or discuss the discipline, dismissal of, complaint, charges brought against public officer, employee, staff member, individual.
We have a line.
And reconvene only to adjourn. There's nothing else public to see that, right? Okay.
Are we, zero down?
Down to the
I'll
motion,
second
and a
it.
second, all right, people come into the motion.
Yeah.
So that. Yeah.
Okay, make a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, and you read out.
And to reconvene only to adjourn. So we do not need to film anymore because the only thing, we are gonna come out of executive session back into public session, but we're just gonna vote to adjourn.
Yeah, sounds good.
I don't have to stage two videos together.
So you,
We didn't vote yet.
We had a vote.
oh, Lynn, I.
Kathy Schofield, aye.
Dan, aye.
Aye. Aye.